huge thanks to OK Jazzy. They're your go-to for the 2026 World Cup and an incredible retro archive. They got decades of iconic league classics, from legendary 90s designs to the rarest club heritage kits. Whether it's a high-performance player version or a timeless vintage look, prices start at just £15, 4.5 Trustpilot rating and fast shipping. Use code Chris for 8% off and grab your piece of football history now.
Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. We're here to talk about Tottenham's game, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Hoffenheim 2. That was our final pre-season game. And now we are waiting for the Premier League to start in just 6 days' time at the G-Tech Community Stadium away at Brentford. But Spurs are unbeaten in the seven pre-season friendlies played in July and August. Now, back with us is Richard Whitehead. Richard, how are you?
Yeah, always good to be on the podcast, Chris, and especially after some positive results. But it's great to be at this point in time being super positive, ready for the start of the season. So yeah, ready for this. Let's get into it.
Well, you can tell, Richard, that I'm excited because I'm talking about Premier League rather than pre-season friendly. So I cannot wait for it to start. So yeah,
I know it's always good for you to have a smile on your face, Chris, as well. Not doom and gloom like the last couple of seasons.
Absolutely, absolutely. We expect a big change this season under Roberto De Zerbi. Also back with us from the US is Terry Kim. Terry, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on again, Richard. Good to see you again, and Charlie, looking forward to talking Tottenham with you.
Yeah, great to have you here. And also back with us, Charlie is joining us for the first time on the Spurs Chat Podcast, but he's been a guest many, many times on the fan shows. Charlie, great to have you with us. How are you?
I'm very good, Chris. Thank you for having me on my debut on the Spurs Chat Podcast. I'm very honoured and excited to be on the podcast. When I got the email from you, Chris, a huge smile came across my face. I'm delighted to be on the podcast today. I think we played very well today. I did watch the game. I was happy, and it's been a great pre-season. I mean, I know we've all been saying we're excited for the Prem to start, but I personally love pre-season. It gets me back in the mood for football. I tell you what, last year, Chris, you one of the fan shows, you said to me, Charlie, I've given you a job to do the player ratings and you haven't done it. I wasn't doing the player ratings because I hated watching it, and I hated thinking about Tottenham because it was just so terrible. But De Zerbi's come in, and I love De Zerbi, great manager, and a fantastic end to last season, staying in the Premier League, and then fantastic pre-season, like we've said. No one has beaten us, and on to Brentford. I can't wait.
Charlie, you can't wait to talk about it, so I'm going to start the show with you. Now, 7 pre-season friendlies played in July and August. Now, we beat MK Dons 1-0 in a behind-closed-doors friendly at Hotspur Way. Then we travelled to New Zealand, beat Auckland 2-0, Sydney 1-1, and then we won on penalties. Chelsea in Australia, we beat them 2-1. Getafe 1-1. Hoffenheim 3-0 yesterday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And again today, 2-2. Now, over the 7 games, what have you made of pre-season? And also, what did you make of today's performance?
I've been really, really impressed. I think it's been a great pre-season. And I thought, today played really well. I'll come on today in just a little bit. But the whole pre-season has been really, really good. The Chelsea game, that's the standout game for me. That was fantastic. Chris, I know you were there. I'm sure that must have been a great day. Richarlison in the last minute. London Derby victory. London Derbies, they're never friendlies, but every pre-season game I'm very, very impressed. MK Dons, that Fernandez goal. Auckland, my alarm didn't wake me up, so I can't really talk about that. Sydney, I watched Sydney. I think we played well. I would like us to beat Sydney by more, but I think those first 3 games, they were to get us going. There's no major teams there that we played. I'm sure I say major teams. The players playing for these teams, they're better players than I'll ever be. I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I'm a Tottenham fan. I want to play against the Premier League opposition. Then it was the Chelsea game. That was the big one. Chelsea, you can't say they played a weak team because they didn't. We played really, really well. Jan-Paul van Hecke, he really stood out for me in that game. And Richarlison in the last minute. What a watch. I was in Wales and I was watching it. Fantastic, utterly fantastic. I watched it on Spurs Play. Then, who was after Chelsea? It was Getafe. Getafe was tough. They are the dirtiest team in Europe. So a good opposition for us to play in pre-season. And we done well. It was a 1-1 draw. I would have liked us to win, but, it's like count as game 70 minutes. A little bit ridiculous. I didn't even do, on my channel, I do instant match reactions after every game. I didn't do a match reaction because I was like, well, it wasn't really a match. It was like a training session. 70 minutes. So it was a bit of a joke. But we played well in those 70 minutes. Got to see a real fight from Tonali when he squared up to that Getafe player. And I'll tell you what, Tonali done the right thing there because I don't know what that Getafe player was doing. They just love to fight. And you know what? Fair play to them because it works for them in the league. I watch Getafe often because I adore their manager and their style of play. Although, we're not like Tottenham's play like that. That would stress me out very much. And yesterday, it was very, very good against Hoffenheim. I was there. So good to be back home and such a good display. We were very good defensively. And look, I think it's very clear, especially today, I thought it was very clear that we need improvement in the final third. But we scored 3 goals yesterday. Richarlison scored 1 and then Moore scored 2. Both of Moore's goals assisted by Matthijs Tel. And then today I thought it was a very solid performance. We looked much better progressing the ball forward. We were pressing high. We were playing out from the back. Really seeing that Roberto De Zerbi style of play. So I've been very, very impressed with pre-season, Chris.
Rich, before I come to you, let's go through some of the match facts and stats. Now, as I mentioned, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Hoffenheim 2. Hoffenheim took the lead after 16 minutes from the penalty spot after James Maddison brought a player down. 4 minutes later, Ben Davies headed our equaliser, making it 1-1. Luca Williams-Barnett making it 2-1, putting Spurs ahead just before the half-time whistle. And then Hoffenheim equalising in the 55th minute. Now, the match facts and stats, Tottenham Hotspur 61.1% possession, Hoffenheim 38.9%. Shots, Spurs had 7, Hoffenheim 11. Shots on target, Spurs had 3, Hoffenheim 6. Goalkeeper saves, Spurs 4, Hoffenheim 1. Fouls committed, Spurs 8, Hoffenheim 22. And corners, Spurs had 2, Hoffenheim had 6. Rich, what did you make of today's performance?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? After all the support and the goals yesterday, whether the team can replicate that energy on the field of play 24 hours after you've already played. And yes, it's a completely different team, but obviously the staff have to create that energy as well from the sidelines. I think it's a great opportunity for every player to get more minutes, understand that, but also it's about that man management. So really pleased that they're able to do that. And De Zerbi, like yesterday, was very vocal on the sidelines. It's very evident, isn't it, how end of last season when he came in to now, his style of management with the players is totally different because different scenario. Also, his terminology and language around the team is totally different, around winning, around he's demanding of the players. When you listen to the players when they talk, they're talking about the demands from the manager and the playing staff. So I think it's really important that we're seeing that. And then obviously a lot of the press around kind of transfers and players coming in and bomber signings and things like that. So today I think it's really important that we have that momentum going into the season. And I think my only worry from today would be that we'd have obviously injuries. That's one worry, sorry. And the second one is that we didn't have that momentum moving forwards into the Premier League season, which wasn't evident. I think we had the energy. It was very positive. Some of the younger players that we're always banging the drum for to get those opportunities with the first team definitely got those opportunities, and in lots of those cases really did shine and really did give the manager a headache around that match day squad. Maybe not the first 11, but the match day squad. So yes, I'm just really, really kind of impressed with what I saw. I think the first 5 or 10 minutes, a little bit disjointed, maybe a little bit too much time on the ball. But after we got over that and obviously conceded the first goal, I think it was more, you saw the natural fluidity of the players that De Zerbi wanted within the team. And just really positive. Over the 7 games, like Charlie said, I think there's been some real bright spots that we can take into the Premier League season. And I think as a Spurs fan, you always want to see progress. And I think with maybe 2 or 3 more players coming in, I think we've got a good shot at every game we go into, and we shouldn't be fearing anybody.
Rich, the style of play is certainly very, very different under Roberto De Zerbi, and it is very, very positive, because even at the stadium yesterday, I know Charlie said that he was there yesterday as well, but everyone super positive. A lot of people are talking about Spurs possibly signing a striker and a left winger. Literally, while we've been on air, Fabrizio Romano has just stated that Savinho out of Manchester City squad today for the Community Shield, as he wants the move to Tottenham. Negotiations continue with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club on a daily basis. This one, it does look like it's going to be done. I know it's taken over a year to get done, but it does look like it's going to happen. Rich, what is the main takeaway? Because we spoke at length. It was actually a 2.5-hour podcast yesterday. Today's one won't go on that long, don't worry. But yesterday, the very common theme was positivity. We were all very positive about going to the new season, particularly with Roberto De Zerbi and the style of play, because he wants to move the ball very quickly. And, people talk about goals. We have scored 12 goals in the 7 pre-season friendlies, and we haven't had a game yet where we haven't scored a goal. I think you're always going to get goals from a De Zerbi side because of the way that he wants to play.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, from you looking from last season, and I've watched and observed the games a lot over the last couple of years, and you see the kamikaze style of play that we've had in previous managers. And I think De Zerbi came into the role and looked at what we actually needed for the remaining games, how we needed to bring the team together that was fragmented, install that confidence in them, and then start afresh at the end of the season. It's definitely done that. And as you can tell now, there's a lot more confidence, fluidity with the play, like you were alluding to there as well, Chris. De Zerbi wants the ball to be moving very quickly, wants the transitions to be quite fluid and fast. And I think the end of last season, De Zerbi's role was really just to keep us in the league and to start to build that confidence, where obviously after the end of the season, in that last interview that he did after the Everton game, he said obviously the work starts tomorrow. And clearly you can see that not only is he after the players that he wants to sign, but he's really installing this style of play to the players that he wants in. And any players that doesn't buy into it or wants away, he's literally shipping out. And I think that's evident with the players that have gone recently, that any player that's not happy with a style of play or minutes, or they're out the door, that negativity has gone. And over the time that we've been in the podcast, Chris, I've always talked about confidence. I've always talked about the crowd, getting the crowd behind the team. And over the last couple of years, that's been really hard. The paying public's been going to the games and really struggling to actually get behind the team that's very negative, that's very slow, that's not progressive, that's not really showing the Spurs style of play that we all love and adore. And I think that's what's going to happen moving forwards, that De Zerbi's going to have more of a connection to the fans, listening to what the fans are wanting, and really delivering the style of play that we really deserve. And that's what I think pre-season's really built us towards now. And I think these signings that are going to come in, which are going to come in, I believe, and Savinho being one of them, I think is going to add the consistency that we need, instead of obviously substitutes coming off the bench and the standard of play and the style of play dropping as soon as they come on. We need impacts. We need weapons off the pitch that really make those differences in those last 15 minutes, that win those big games.
Absolutely. Terry, let's get your thoughts on today's 2-2 draw.
Yeah, it was, I thought as a game, it was a little bit hard to judge, just because there's probably one starter in Fernandez who's going to be a starter next week with a lot of substitutes. I like, Richard, what you said, using that word progress. I think we definitely see that progress. Even with all of the youngsters in there today, you can see that De Zerbi's philosophy has kind of permeated throughout the squad, all the way down to everyone who's in there, including Brandon Austin as well. I do I do agree that the vibes seem to be really good. It was great to hear Matisse Tell yesterday in his interview call that out specifically, that the energy and just the feeling around the club is really good. So there's a lot of positivity going into the season. I think just a couple of just positives from today. It was really nice to see Madison get his first start in over a year. He does seem a little rusty, does seem a little slow, but that is understandable. It's going to take him a while. Fernandez playing the whole game was a bit of a surprise, a pleasant surprise. It certainly seems like he's ready for next week, which I'm really curious to see. I don't think we've seen him play with Tonali since probably MK Dons, right? They probably played just that first half together. So it'll be really good to see kind of the two of them together and whoever that third person is going to be. Rodrigo Bentancur looks like he hasn't been off at all. It looks like he's just slotting right back in. I think he could almost have a shout for having that third spot. It was really nice to see Ben Davies play the whole game and kind of be the same Ben Davies that we know and love. I think we all thought that we had seen his last game in a Spurs jersey when he was hindered at the end of last season. So it's really good to see him back. My concern is that we haven't seen. It's just a very blended team, so we don't really know what that team is going to look like going into not just the Brentford game, but that first week, where we have the 3 games against Brentford, Charlton, and Newcastle. It seems like we have the skill in a lot of different positions, but just not seeing Solanke in there today, not seeing Kudus, Udogie, Van de Ven, just all big question marks. And I know we've spoken ad nauseum about the front 3. But it certainly seems like our front 3 going into next week is going to be Tell, Richarlison, and Mikey Moore. I mean, Mikey Moore, I think all of us, even as of a few days ago, we thought that he was going to go out on loan to Cologne, and now it looks like he's going to be our starter for that first week. I mean, Richarlison, De Zerbi said himself that there's days where he doesn't know whether he wants to stay or he wants to go. And that's all fine. And that's all. It's just out of the 3 of them, if one of them comes off or if one of them is injured, who's the 4th person off the bench? I have no idea who that person is going. Is it going to be Luka Williams-Barnett? I mean, he looked great today. He was extremely positive. But right now we are extremely, extremely thin up front. I mean, we know about the lack of quality, but really just the depth is a worry. It really makes me question that letting Manor Solomon go for such a small fee without having reinforcements in. I mean, it must mean that we're really, really close to Savinho. I hope. I'm so sick of thinking about Savinho, talking about Savinho, hearing about Savinho. Just want to see him get in. But even if he gets in this week, it's going to take him a while to get integrated into the team, to learn the system. So just lots of positivity, but a lot of question marks. I'd say more question mark going into the season than I'd like.
Terry, you sound a little worried about our preparation for the new Premier League campaign, which starts in just 6 days' time. I get the concerns about the forward line, but when you talk a little bit about some of the players coming back as well, and we've got just over a couple of weeks left of the transfer window, so hopefully there'll be at least 1, 2, maybe 3 coming in. I know Fabrizio Romano last night said that Spurs want to sign Cody Gakpo, they want to sign Savinho, they also want to sign a striker. So if that was to happen, I think that we would all be having big smiles on our faces and feeling equally as excited as we were at the start of the transfer window when so much activity was going on. But I think it's fair to say as well that most Premier League teams, particularly the top teams, the ones with real stars in the squad, the World Cup didn't help. Preparations for the new campaign, of course, managers have had players coming back bit by bit, and it probably hasn't been very good for their preparations for the new season. But Terry, do you have confidence that Spurs will strengthen that forward line, so you are going to be happy come the 1st of September when the window closes?
I mean, if so, by all indications, if it's Savinho, I'm not particularly excited about Savinho. Dustin had sent a stat yesterday in that I think 1 out of 48 of his crosses or so, or 46 of his crosses have been converted into a goal, and that's with Holland in that team. His underlying numbers just aren't very promising. So it's I honestly don't see him as much of an upgrade over. He seems like I was going to say Odegaard 2.0. It's not even, he's like more like a Odegaard version 1.1, a slight improvement over him. So not particularly excited about him. I am more excited about Gakpo than I think the average Spurs fan is. I see a lot of positivity in him with his height and his running ability as well. I know his underlying numbers aren't the greatest either, but I do think he's a marked improvement over the front three that we have here. That seems like that's further along. I think with the two of them coming in, if they were to both come in before the transfer window ended, yes, that would make me feel a lot better. I do want to stay positive in that you made a good point that throughout these 7 preseason games, we've scored in every one of them, and they've come from different places as well. So that really is more a testament to De Zerbi's system, and to be able to do that with not the greatest forwards. I mean, we do have to take into account the level of competition. I keep thinking to Brentford next week, and the ease with which Matisse Tull was able to go through the Hoffenheim defense yesterday. We have to remember that Hoffenheim had made 10 changes at half. So him against Michael Coyote is not going to give him as much room as the Hoffenheim defense did yesterday. So we have to take that into account. So again, just a lot of question marks out there. Not super excited about the prospect of Savinho, but anybody would be an improvement at this point.
Can I come in there, Chris? I think,
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you a little bit, Terry, and then I don't agree with you on other bits. I think Savinho is going to be a great signing for us. I think he's got speed. I think a player that wants to come to us, that beat a man, that's that from minute one, he's got that energy that we need. I think, yes, he's still a young player. I think sometimes the fans do look at the negatives, and especially with like obviously TalkSport being like every time a Bong Lahore comes on the radio, he tries to slate Spurs being beneath Aston Villa, and we need to look at the positives of those players. Gakpo, obviously the goals he scores, important goals he scores. If we get him over the line, I think he'll be a great threat across that front three as well, not only out wide. I think there's been some concerns about him only being right-footed, but I'm sure De Zerbi can get the best out of him. And I think De Zerbi sees, even though the money is high for Savinho, I think he sees where he can progress as well within the team. And we also know that because Spurs have got the money, then we're having to pay premiums for these players. And I understand that maybe we're playing 10, 15, 20 million on top of the actual value of some of these players, but it's about fitting the right players into the jigsaw. And that's, I think, what the fans need to think about. It's not, oh, he played last year and he wasn't very successful within. That's last year. We don't know what was going on last year within. Clearly wasn't happy. He wasn't getting the minutes. Players need the minutes for the confidence to be successful. And I think that's where De Zerbi is going to put his arm around the players and really kind of say, look, you're our go-to players in the team. This is your role, which he's clearly doing at the moment with the other players. And that's why he's like heavily involved with the transfers and going after them. So I think if De Zerbi wants the players, there's a reason why, and not just because of the numbers, not just because of the great players. It's because those players will fit into the jigsaw that he wants us to play. And I think sometimes we look at, yes, this is the best striker, we need to go for them, but that striker might not fit into our team, or the wingers might not fit into the team. It's about getting the right characteristics in the team that make us successful as a whole.
Yeah, Richard, I 1000% hope that you're right, and Charlie seems to be excited about Savinho as well. Like I agree.
I can't wait for Savinho. I think Savinho is great.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really do. The thing that I'm holding on to is what you just said about Roberto De Zerbi. If he wants him and he can see him fitting into our system, you know that there's a plan there. And if you see what he's done historically with players who probably were marginal players or average players, and they really became kind of names because of De Zerbi. When I think of Mitoma specifically. That's the hope. That's the hope. I'll have to admit, I'm a little skeptical, but again, I really hope I'm wrong and you're right in this.
So, one sec, Charlie. So, just a couple of stats here. Savinho, in the 2 seasons that he has been with Manchester City in the Premier League, 53 appearances, 25 from the sub bench. So, I think that says, a lot about him. Wants to start games. And I think that you're absolutely spot on as well, Richard, that, from what I've seen, and I've spoken about this on the podcast a few times now, being in New Zealand, being in Australia and seeing De Zerbi work with this squad and seeing him improve every single player is just incredible. It really is. And I'm very, very excited about De Zerbi going forward, because if he gets the players in that he wants that can fit his system, I tell you what, we are in for some very good times.
It's a jigsaw. It is a jigsaw, Chris. I think that's where you look at the certain managers in certain ways, and De Zerbi is a jigsaw manager where he's looking for, certain characteristics, but when you listen to him, he's looking for a certain attitude of a player.
Yeah.
He's looking for certain energy. And I understand all the data and the figures that go around that, but there's also other characteristics he's looking for, and he's not going to put his hat on a player that isn't performing or cannot perform at the levels that he wants. And every player that we get now will be an upgrade, because that's what he's looking for, to upgrade the team.
Yeah.
Because if we're expecting to be that Champions League team, then that's what we need to look towards. And the players that have gone out have been the ones that have been part of the reason why we've been in 17th for the last 2 seasons. Whether we like it or not, whether they've performed well at the World Cup, they've been part of that, heavily part of that. And also, attitude-wise, has been very negative, and that negative energy needs to shift away from the club.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are looking at the other stats of Savinho, 9 assists in 2 Premier League seasons and only 2 goals. But I'm sure, as I've said, and as you've also said, Rich, I think De Zerbi will certainly improve those stats if he is in a Spurs shirt. The other stat I wanted to say to you, Rich, is Gabia Bonlahor, 0 trophies in his entire career.
I know, and that's why every time it pops up on my feed, I like to do sleeping emoji all the time, because it just bores me. He's got his medal, look at it. Charlie obviously sleeps with that every night, you can tell.
We won't ask Richard to get his medals out.
No, they're all hiding.
They ain't got any.
Charlie, before we move on to today's game, what do you want to say about Savinho? How excited are you at the prospect that he could be wearing a Spurs shirt very soon?
Start of the transfer window, when I heard we were interested in Savinho again, I was like, I'm not so sure. I really wanted Marcus Rashford to come to the club. But throughout the window, he's grown on me, and I've been watching City in pre-season because I think this deal will get done, as he's obviously not in the City squad today for the Community Shield. But I think he's fantastic. And I look at a player last season, Florian Wirtz for Liverpool. Now I heard he had no goals, no assists, and that he was a waste of money. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch Liverpool game. I'm going to see for myself. Is Wirtz a waste of money? I watched Liverpool multiple times. Wirtz looked fantastic. He wasn't getting any goals or any assists, but he just looked fantastic. I don't think we can be judging players just off they've only got 9 assists in 2 seasons. They haven't scored many goals. No, I just think, I look at the way Savinho plays. He's so tricky. He's so tricky, and ultimately, he averages every 46 crosses, 1 of them is converted into a goal. I tell you what, I wish we had that last season. The amount of useless crosses we put into the box. I would have loved if 1 in every 46 ended up in a goal, because we must have put 100 crosses in a game and none of them would have been converted into a goal. So, if we compare those statistics to our statistics, I think Savinho, could have helped us out quite a bit last season. And I think he's a tricky player. I also want to say, I've said, goals and assists don't matter. I do think they do, especially for strikers. I think Solanke and Richarlison, if we could merge them into one player, we would have the perfect number 9. Something we obviously can't do that. Richarlison, I don't think he's a great player, but he always scores. He did it yesterday, and I said it in my player ratings. He done nothing all game, but he scored, and that's what you want for a number 9. Solanke, he comes deep. He can hold the ball up. He's quite a good player, but he just can't score. And ultimately, I want my striker to score. Now, I also think, okay, I want us to sign a striker. I desperately want Victor Osimhen, or my dream is for Harry Kane to come back to the club, although I understand that's probably not going to happen. But Victor Osimhen, that's my dream signing right now. He is a very good striker, a complete striker, like Solanke is, but he can score goals as well. That's why I want him to be my number 9. And Richarlison, if Osimhen were to get injured or get suspended, Richarlison is a player, but okay, Richarlison is going to play for a couple of weeks. And my question to you is, in the last minute of a game, who would you rather come on, Richarlison or Solanke? I'd rather Richarlison, because I think he can get a goal. But before, I would like you to answer that question, Chris, because I've asked quite a few people that question, because I think it's a very interesting question. Who would you rather bring on? Again, it does depend on the type of game. But Cody Gakpo as well. I know we're interested in signing him. I just want to say my piece here, because I'm not so sure on that signing. Does De Zerbi want him to come in and play up front, or does he want him to go out and play on the wing?
It's another option though, Charlie, isn't it? Because he can play in that number 9 role.
Yeah, I'm not completely against the signing of Cody Gakpo. I hope he isn't the mystery bomber, because I don't think he's a bomber at all. I think he's just another signing. But look, Cody Gakpo, I watched him for Liverpool a few times last season. Obviously, I watched Liverpool quite a lot last season. My friend is a Liverpool fan, so I sometimes watch Liverpool games with him, and I wanted to see Wirtz. But watching Gakpo as well, I just love football. I watch every game. I love football. It's the best, isn't it? But we all know that. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking about football. I'm talking about Tottenham. I love Tottenham more than I love football. But I'm off track there. Gakpo, look, it just didn't convince me. He did not convince me. But my friend was telling me yesterday, the Liverpool fan who I watched games with, he actually came with me yesterday to Tottenham Hoffenheim. We went together to watch the game. And he was telling me, I think Gakpo would fit perfectly into this. So, I don't know. But I'm not the biggest fan of Gakpo. But Savinho, he's very tricky. Don't look at the numbers. Look at his performances. And for Man City this pre-season, again, I've been watching a lot of them, because I know this deal's going to get done. I'm pretty sure this deal will get done. He's been fantastic for City. So, that's what I've got to say there. I'm really excited for Savinho. Pray for Osimhen. Kane, oh my word, we're in the heavens. And Gakpo, I'm not completely against it, but I'm not sure.
Right, let's get back to talking about today's game. Rich, let's come to you, because I'm going to start by talking about the starting 11 from yesterday's game that played Hoffenheim, where, of course, we won 3-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So this was all about managing minutes today. So yesterday's starting 11 was Kinski, Robertson, Senesi, Van Hecke, Gallagher, Richarlison, Tell, Gray, Bergveld, Tonali, and more. Today's starting 11, Austin, Danso, Maddison back, and as Terry mentioned, his first start in a Spurs shirt for over a year. So great to see him back properly. And there's a lot of rumours at the moment as well that James Maddison will be the club captain for the 26-27 campaign. And it was also expected that was going to be announced by the football club this week, but it hasn't been done so far. So Austin, Danso, Maddison, Fernandes, Sarr, Bentancur, Davis, Souza, Ajayi, Williams-Barnett and Ty Hall. Subs today, Jack wearing the 99 shirt, a 15-year-old goalkeeper. So great to see the youth getting a chance and getting the nod even on the sub-bench by De Zerbi. Kota Takai, Donnelly, Tyrese Hall, Hardy, Elliot Paris, Burn and Adiwal. It was all about managing minutes, Rich, wasn't it, today?
Sure.
And like I said, great to see James Maddison back. Great to see Fernandes. When you pay £85 million for a signing, you want to be seeing them during pre-season. You want to certainly be seeing them in the starting 11 next week against Brentford. I'll get all of your opinions about the possible starting 11 next week later on. But how do you feel like Roberto De Zerbi has managed the minutes, particularly, as I mentioned to Terry earlier, about how difficult it's been for so many Premier League managers with the World Cup going on during the summer and players coming back, trickling back to Hotspur way. But how do you feel like he's managed the minutes of the squad so far?
Yeah, well, I think obviously from the first game, there was we had obviously striker playing, so there was a clear difference of style of play first, second game. I think the second game, the real emphasis was around what we were doing with the ball. I think the first game was maybe more around getting our forwards on the ball and then incorporating our wing players. And I think today it was more about, like I say, just how we're using the ball a little bit. And I think that's why Maddison got himself into a little bit of bother in the box and obviously gave that penalty away, which again was a little bit sloppy in the style of play at the start. I think De Zerbi, going back to your question, is obviously looking at all the players and who wants to have a competitive assessment of all the players. So getting the likes of Sarr more minutes after coming back from the World Cup. Bentancur obviously looking still sharp. Also incorporating Davis into the match day squads after an awful injury last year, and then giving some of those younger players some vital minutes and exposure. Obviously, some of those will go out on loan, but hopefully we'll keep some of them in the squad moving forwards. I think it's great to see different combinations of players and different options. I think De Zerbi will have in his head his starting maybe 10 or 11, maybe. Might be one or two positions he's still thinking about after the last couple of weeks of training and also the first week of the penultimate week of training into Premier League. I think also it makes a difference that we were starting away from home as well. I think the style of play away from home, which I've criticised before, sometimes previous managers have tried to play exactly the same home and away, and that's meant that we've come unstuck. But I think for me, it's about a real solid start in that first game, creating that momentum in the season, and then also having the players fit and healthy. I think it was so important that we didn't pick up any injuries in the last two games. And De Zerbi's definitely been managing certain players in and around the squad due to obviously injury history, but also with an eye on that first game.
Rich, I know Terry mentioned this earlier, that he felt that Fernandes would only be the one out of today's starting 11 that will start next week's game against Brentford. Do you think James Maddison is ready enough to play and start next week's game against Brentford? And what do you make of him being the club captain if those rumours are true?
James Maddison obviously is a character. He's obviously brought, when he came back from injury last season, and really did step up to the plate for sure. I'm just not sure if he, with that injury history, also his mentality, whether he fits the criteria that I would personally be looking at for a club captain, whether you're looking further down the field, so a player that can see more of the picture of the game, maybe from the back, maybe. I know even though he's a young player, that De Zerbi is a massive fan of Kinski, but I think for me, I've always liked captains that are centre-backs that can really see that picture. And I'd have probably gone one of the centre-backs for club captain for me. You've also got a lot of experience within that captainship coming into the team, obviously with the Robertson, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say, and maybe he'll slot into maybe a vice captain in that kind of cohort of players. But I think it really does set the scene for the manager. So you need to get it right. You need to get it right. You can't be making Maddison the captain and then he plays the first game and then he's out for 10 or 11 games due to an injury. I think that's not going to really work. He needs to have somebody that's going to have a real impact on the squad. Very vocal. De Zerbi's very vocal from the sidelines. I think he might like somebody that's very vocal. I know James Maddison generally is, but not always in the right way. And I think even today, he didn't look like he was ready. For me, he looked like he's still trying to find his feet. I think obviously when you're in the position of trying to find form, trying to find fitness, that's when you make mistakes, and he definitely made mistakes today. And I think, I'm not sure what his passing accuracy was today, but it wasn't as consistent as it normally is. And he didn't really unlock the players again like he normally does when he's on the ball, when there's the James Maddison that we did see towards the end of last season. What about you, Chris? Who would you like to see?
Van der Ven. I think that Van der Ven, I've always seen an extra 10% from Van der Ven when he wore that captain's armband. And unlike you, Richard, I think that a centre-back should always have that captain's armband. And it's quite a weird one, because I saw a stat in the last couple of days. Of course, Romero's gone off to Atletico Madrid. And I saw a stat, the 5 years that he has been at Spurs, he missed 100 games. That's 20 a season. So to make someone a club captain, I know a lot of people thought it was a great decision at the time. But for someone who misses 20 games a season for whatever reason, injuries, internationals, etc., etc., you need a captain. You need a captain to be on the pitch for the majority of the time. So it'd be very interesting to see how this works out. But modern day football, it's about leadership groups, and they have 3 or 4 people in this group. So I've no doubt that if Maddison is captain, he is out injured, then perhaps Van der Ven is certainly going to be there, isn't he?
Ben Davis and people like that. They're obviously still very influential within the club. I think Pedro Porro was a name that was banded around. I think he's a great player. I think he's got great influence. But I think for me, no. I think maybe within that group, not club captain. Though I think you need somebody that, again, like I talk a lot about, like seeing the picture of the game, being able to. The manager's obviously off the pitch; he's not on the field of play. So your captain can influence that on field picture. And I think a centre back with football intelligence, great football IQ, can really demonstrate how the game can change where scenarios change. Maybe certain players come into different positions, and I think Van der Ven's always been switched on. I think the only thing that I'd worry about would be sometimes he's indisciplined, and I think sometimes he gets very excited and flies in some of those challenges. I think he needs to kind of, maybe this captaincy might then ground him a little bit more, and then make him think about the responsibility of not only being a player but also a captain and staying on the pitch.
And I think certainly Archie Gray will be in that leadership group as well, having captain Spurs for the majority of pre-season. Terry, let's come to you. Now, let's come on to the game itself, the match instance, because early on in the game, and this is exactly what I wrote down, and it's funny because, it went another way after 16 minutes, but Austin, a lot of back passes to him. Now, on the podcast yesterday, we spoke so heavy on Antonin Kinski and his footwork, distribution, etc. This is being clearly worked on at Tottenham, and especially by De Zerbi, because De Zerbi spent a lot of time with Brandon Austin, and this is a player that you're not expecting to be starting many games at Tottenham, certainly for next season. But Austin, very comfortable with the ball. And then after 16 minutes, Austin plays it out to James Maddison. And James Maddison was basically playing as a false number 9 today. He had to drop so deep. He wanted the ball. He wanted to get onto the ball. I understand it from James Maddison's point of view, but James Maddison then lost the ball, then brought the player down, and then it was a penalty. What did you make of this incident after 16 minutes, Terry?
I agree with you in that I liked the intent and the fact that he was that deep. It seems like he's just very comfortable going that far back. He did just seem very rusty and very slow. He was caught out. He seemed to turn the wrong way, and it just was a little bit desperate. I mean, it was absolutely a penalty. You can't deny that. it just goes to show that I think Richard, I mentioned this before. It just doesn't seem like he's quite ready. He may be ready to. He's definitely ready for some more minutes, but to start, I don't know if he's quite there yet. But...
Charlie, let's come to you because after 20 minutes, it was just 4 minutes later after Tottenham conceded, it was 1-1. Ben Davies with the finish. Now, a really good move from Tottenham. Fernandes to James Maddison, back to Fernandes. What a cross it was from Matheus Fernandes, and a great header from Ben Davies. I think we've lost Charlie. Rich, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. It's obviously a great build up towards getting the corner to start
what's
with.
What's going on here?
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. And I think obviously we were expecting some kind of striker in the box to have a finish like that, but Ben Davies has shown his quality with his head before. And obviously, when you're paying £85 million for a player such as Fernandes, there's certain things that my expectation is that the quality of those crosses is there. And I think when you're looking for obviously left and right wing crossing ability, I think again having that blend is so important. Pedro Porro, obviously on that right side, maybe Fernandes on the left. Really just kind of give us that different dynamic. I think also in a friendly, you're going to have a lot more space in the box, and not a lot to read from that goal itself. Apart from it's great to be able to finish. It's great for confidence. I know Richarlison yesterday had a couple of opportunities with his head that he fluffed, but today I think it was nice to see Ben Davies get his name on the score sheet. He's as we call him, it's a 7 out of 10 player all the time, isn't he? He gives everything. He's able to fill some of those gaps sometimes, but obviously De Zerbi sees him as a key part of the team because obviously he signed that new contract, and even when injured, he seems to get a place in the squad, which is great because it just shows the mentality of the player. And he's obviously grown into that role, hasn't he? I think when we first got him as a player, he was quite raw, and we didn't know what we were getting. But I think his real mentality is the glue that sticks some of the team together.
Charlie, talk to me about the goal from Ben Davies, because, or certainly the build-up from Matheus Fernandes, because something I've really noticed during pre-season over these 7 games is that we are not afraid to shoot, and we are putting in so many decent crosses. And I suppose what we've touched on already is that if we had, a killer number 9 in there, we'd be scoring a hatful. I tell you what, if Harry Kane was in this team right now with the amount of crosses that we are putting in, we'd be scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah. I mean, look, I during the games now, I write notes down on a board. So I know what to say in my match reaction after the game on my channel, Charlie Talks Tottenham. But I thought, honestly, Fernandes has been incredible in this pre-season. I think he got an injury in the middle of it because he missed a load of games. It must have been a small injury, so they didn't bring it up. But he was very good against MK Dons, scoring that fantastic goal. I didn't watch the Auckland game, so I couldn't watch his performance there. But I'm sure he was fantastic. And then today, that cross, it was fantastic. And I mean, it reminded me of actually yesterday's game against Hoffenheim. The Robertson cross for Richarlison. Fantastic ball in. And then obviously Richarlison was on the end of it. And today, it was a great ball in from Fernandes. And a great finish from Ben Davies. And not only was it such a good ball from Fernandes, it was from a set piece. And last season, under Igor Tudor and Roberto De Zerbi, we looked good from set pieces. But under Thomas Frank, that was our only source of goals. It was that bad under Thomas Frank. But that was our only source of goals. And once again today, we scored from a set piece. And I'm confident this season we will be good again from set pieces, because I think we've got a fantastic set piece coach in Andreas Jorgensen. Yeah. About Thomas Frank, I should have said it earlier with Savinho. With Savinho, the start I was very like, I'm not so sure, and he's grown on me. Thomas Frank, at first, I remember coming on your fan show, Chris, and I was like, and just got sacked. And then Chris, at the end, you said to me, "We'll have you on in a few days when we appoint Thomas Frank." And I said, "Oh no." And then a few days later, I came on and I was like, "Thomas the Frank engine." I tell you what, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I stuck to my original thoughts of "oh no," because it was really, really terrible. But yeah, fantastic goal. I've gone off track there. But brilliant goal, set piece again. And I'm sure it'll be good again from set piece this season. Fantastic ball from Fernandes. I think we're going to see a lot of crosses this season.
I think, Chris, with obviously the style of playing this, kind of getting the crosses in and lots of shots, maybe that's also going to dictate what we do in the final weeks of the transfer over this period. I think maybe we will look for that number 9. I don't know what your thoughts are there, but I think De Zerbi is just a bit up in the air with obviously Solanke and Richarlison regarding being a starting number 9. And that's why he's looking for people like maybe Gakpo to play across the front 3. But I still think he fancies getting somebody in that is strong in the air, that can finish, that's more accurate in the box.
I think it's fair to say that Solanke does score goals, and I think that if Solanke stayed fit and healthy during a season, he would score a lot of goals with the amount of chances that he's going to be given this season. But that is a huge issue with fitness. Richarlison, I think, is very hit and miss. Do you have full confidence that Richarlison's always going to score when a cross comes into the box? No.
I do. I disagree with your first statement, Chris. I think
I
don't think Solanke scores. I've lost hope in Solanke. When he signed Solanke, I was very excited. I don't think he's very good. He's a good player, but he doesn't score goals. I don't know. Are we watching different games, Chris? I don't see Solanke scoring goals. I don't see him scoring. I don't think he scores goals. I think we need a striker who can play well and score goals. Solanke can play well, but he can't score goals. And Richarlison can't play well, but he can score goals. We need a mix of both. And for me, the mix of both is Victor Osimhen.
Okay. Right.
That's told you, Chris.
Yeah, on
the only thing with Osimhen is on the pitch, though, can you keep him on the pitch? If we got him, he's got a bit of a temper, hasn't he?
He has, but he's a top striker. We had Harry Kane, and we replaced Harry Kane with Dominic Solanke and Richarlison. We need a top striker, and Osimhen is one of the best strikers in world football. I think it would be ridiculous. He's on the market. Go and get him. We've already missed out on Vlahovic. Just get Osimhen. He's one of the best forwards in world football, and I think we've really, really missed that. And I think that year we signed Dominic Solanke.
Wing the club.
It was all about signing a centre forward. This summer, don't get me wrong, we need a centre forward, but there's been other positions we've really, really lacked in. I think we obviously needed a centre back. Midfield was, we did not have very good midfielders last year, and I think this year we've got 2 top ones, and then Bergwijn and Bentancur. I think Bergwijn showed it yesterday. He's fantastic, and Bentancur today, like we said, he looked like he hasn't missed a game. He looked superb. So yeah, I just think now it's got to be all about the front 3. If we can get Savinho, fantastic. Gakpo, that's a bonus. And then Osimhen, that's the dream. But then, over Osimhen, I would love Harry Kane because he's the best. But like Redknapp would say, I'm not living on cuckoo land. I don't think Kane's coming. I'm sorry, I don't think he is.
Terry.
Can I defend Solanke real quick?
Actually, Terry, that's the question I wanted to give you. So if you've got Dominic Solanke in the middle, or you've got Richarlison in the middle, who are you feeling more confident about that is going to finish?
I mean, when he's healthy, absolutely Solanke. I'm a big Solanke fan. It's his strength, his hold-up play, his pressing. I don't know if you remember with Ange, he was one of the best pressers on the team. He would fit perfectly into De Zerbi's system here. And I agree that he just isn't getting the service and hasn't gotten the service when needed. These injuries are so baffling and worrying because it's he was never injured at Bournemouth, and it seems to be just injuries compounding upon each other. I mean, he's had the entire offseason to heal, and the fact that I think he got a few minutes, right, in a couple of games, and then he seems to be hurt again, and the fact that he wasn't even on the bench today really is a worry. It's I love Charlie's passion for Richarlison. I just don't, even when you see yesterday's game, and there were two really clear-cut chances that he could have put away before he got his goal. I was saying in our group chat yesterday that beautiful goal from Tonali to Robertson to Richarlison that we scored in spite of Richarlison. It's that's a little bit unfair to Richarlison, but it's him going in with him as our number one striker. It's hard to have confidence with that, because there will be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 misses before one goes in with him.
Yeah, I do think we are fair on this channel. We do give credit where credit is due, and we just want to see it a whole lot more from Richarlison. But the whole debate about Richarlison or Solanke, I just think that we do need definitely another option in there for Roberto De Zerbi. A better option, exactly, Charlie. Absolutely agree. Jim in the chat, and please do get involved if you're watching and listening to this podcast at the moment. Let us know how you are feeling as a Spurs fan right now. But Jim in the chat from USA has stated that Austin had a good game today. Terry, let's stay with you on this, because Austin made a save from Hoffenheim shot 20 yards out. Then on 30 minutes, saved at the near post after a good move from the opponents. On 35 minutes, Hoffenheim with a long-range shot that went wide. Austin pushes away from a corner after 37 minutes. And then on 42 minutes, Kevin Danso, it surprised me in a way, because he was so slow to react. I think he felt that the opponent was actually a lot further behind, but the opponent ran through. And it was very nearly a goal. But Austin with another very, very good save. I tell you what, we often speak on this podcast about who takes opportunities. Brandon Austin, I felt, really, impressed today. And, give us your opinion on Brandon Austin's performance today. Kinski played, well during pre-season as well. So in the goalkeeping department, how confident are you right now? And it does look like Vicario will go out the door. Juventus at the moment want to sign Vicario on loan. It's a bit unsure at the moment whether Spurs want him to go out on loan.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Austin. He's in such a strange position as always being the third goalkeeper and really only being here to have the homegrown numbers in there. But I think the last time we saw him in a competitive match was he didn't play last year, right? I think it was maybe in the Europa League the year before.
Elfsborg.
Yeah, he looked really sharp. His reflexes were really good. I think you mentioned this one, Chris. I think it was in the it was in the first half where he had a great save going down to his right, and I think it was a deflected. I think the ball was deflected, so his reaction to get to that ball was quite impressive. I mean, he did give up 2 goals, but I don't think he could have done anything about either of those. It was a great penalty, and then an amazing volley for that second Hoffenheim goal. I feel very confident about it, because I think Dubravka's looked really good as well. It's like, I mean, if we had seen Austin's performance today just in a bubble, I think you could have said that he has a shout for that second position. But I feel confident all the way down the line. I am a little worried and sad about Vicario. I don't want him to be in, or to get into this kind of purgatory situation like Hugo Lloris was. I mean, there was that half year where Lloris stayed with us, and he wasn't really part of the team, but you knew that he was there in the background. And for someone, I don't know if a club legend, but pretty close to it. Someone who put that many years of service in, to be treated that way at the end I thought was a bit sad. Vicario clearly hasn't been here as long, but he was one of our leaders. He was a very vocal leader, and I think he put in 3 really good years with the club. So it seems like he's a bit in that purgatory stage right now. Even seeing him on the sidelines today, he's very supportive of his teammates. I think he's a consummate teammate and just seems like a very quality person. So just for him personally, I'd like to see a move quick, just so he can get some game time and just so he has a better idea where he's going to be playing this season, because clearly he's not going to be part of the club. I'm going to miss him. I think he was a great character, a great leader on the team, and provided some great moments for us as well. I mean, like we'll always have Bilbao in the Europa League with him. So best of luck to Vicario going forward.
Charlie, let's come to you, because just before the halftime break, Luca Williams-Barnett put Spurs 2-1 up. Now, brilliant work from Pape Matar Sarr.
Yeah, I noted this down when I was making my notes. I thought it was fantastic from Sarr, and I know everyone's going to talk about, Williams-Barnett scored. He's the next big thing, but I think Sarr, we really need to talk about that from him, because it was fantastic, I thought. But then Luca Williams-Barnett, I mean, he is the next big thing, you know. People will say that, and people are right to say that because he is. But I don't think we have to remember what Sarr done there was very, very good. I thought it was a really, really good goal, actually. Sarr got past his man, as we're seeing here. Then he passed it to Barnett, and a fantastic finish from Luca Williams-Barnett. Right position, right time, and good finish. A very, very good goal, a well-worked goal. I think if we watch it one more time, we'll probably see that we're progressing the ball from the back here. And I think that's something Marcos Senesi is going to be really, really good at. I think we saw it yesterday. He can create from the back. I just love that about him. A very, very good goal. And yeah, Williams-Barnett. Who else would you want to score other than Luca Williams-Barnett? One of our own. He's the next Lucas Moura. He sat in the car with Lucas Moura years ago, and I'm sure he's going to be... I don't know if he's going to put up a moment as big as Lucas Moura did with that goal against Ajax, because I think that's pretty tough to top. But yeah, he's going to be a great, great player, and I can't wait to see him as a main starter in the years to come, because I know how good he's going to be. My granddad, he has Spurs play, and he watches all the youth games, and he told me about Luca Williams-Barnett 2 years ago, when we went into the first year, finished 17th, and just last season, at the start of that year, he told me, watch out for Luca Williams-Barnett. I'm watching this player play for the youth teams. He is something else. And well, he was right. Clearly he was right, because he was utterly fantastic today, scoring his first goal in a Spurs shirt. I know he scored that fantastic penalty against Sydney, that Panenka. How cheeky and how great. But I want to talk about one other youngster I noticed in the second half. Elliot Paris. I thought he was really, really good. I thought he was actually really, really good. He had energy. He looked like he had something about him up front. I was thinking this guy's better than Solanke, because I think this summer I've realised that I really like Richarlison, because I meant that goal against Chelsea. I realised, he had nothing the whole game. He's done nothing. And then he just went and scores. And I was like, this is what he does. This is what we need. But Elliot Paris, he was pressing, and he just looked like, if a chance came to him, I was like, he's going to score this way. He didn't score in the end, but he just looked a decent little player. And I'd like to see more of him. And I hope people are talking about him as well, because he really impressed me. And I'm going to talk about him in my match reaction, because I was really, really impressed with him. And I wanted to give him his credit where credit's due, to Elliot Paris. He was really good, I thought. But fantastic goal from Williams-Barnett. Fantastically worked goal. And like I said, I'll repeat it, a great finish from the youngster.
Rich, can I pick up on what Charlie said there? Because I'm going to mention this. Look, this ball played now, from the centre-back into Sarr. Sarr skips past the player, lays it into Luca Williams-Barnett, who finishes. This is exactly why we bought John-Paul Van Hecke. This is exactly why we bought Marcos Senesi. Ball-playing centre-backs. This is going to be a big difference for Tottenham this year, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. People that also can see the pass, they can make the pass, and they can move the ball up the field very quickly. Yeah, great finish. Obviously, look at the time it was scored as well, just before half time as well. And I think in the Premier League, that would be so important to take those opportunities as well and continue to be very positive all the way up to the 46th, 47th or 97th or 98th minute of every game, because those opportunities would come. And again, it's not just one or two of those centre backs can play with their feet. clearly now we have 3 or 4 of them that are very comfortable with the ball at their feet, seeing that pass. And I think that gives us a lot of options where we can bring the wingers into play, but also hopefully cut through the midfield for obviously whichever striker we have in that number 9 position.
Rich, where does it leave players like Pape Matar Sarr and Rodrigo Bentancur when we sign players like Fernandes, like Tonali?
Well, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's been a lot of chatter about Sarr recently. I think obviously Bentancur signed a new contract, but Pape Sarr, I don't know. Sometimes I find I see his immaturity sometimes on the field of play. And even when I watched him in the World Cup a little bit, I saw a little bit of it and I was going, he's just not the player yet. He's not the player yet. And then today when I watched him, he was quite good. I thought he was always looking for the ball. He wasn't static. He was always moving. You obviously saw from that, from his assist there, that he was moving the ball up, either taking the ball and actually going on a run or making a positive contribution with his feet. But I'm not sure yet. And again, it just depends, doesn't it? Because we can't have a plethora of midfield players that aren't going to be playing, especially with not being in Europe as well. And one of those players might be sacrificed. And I think De Zerbi's obviously used these games to see actually Bergwall. Obviously, he's brilliant yesterday. Can we still have him in the team and keep him happy and give him the game time he wants? Or would he be one of the players that go out of the door for about 60 million? Or do we move people like Sarr on? But it's going to have to happen because we've got so many midfielders.
I just want to say something quickly that I personally would want us to sell Pape Matar Sarr. I think he was really good today, actually. I think he was really, really good. He had lots of energy and that fantastic dribble for the goal. And I really like Pape Sarr. He obviously got that assist in Bilbao. And I think he's a top player. But ultimately, is there a spot for him at Tottenham right now? That's the question. That's what you just said, Richard. And for me, there's not. I don't want a player like Sarr to just be wasted at the club, not getting any minutes. I'd rather him go out on loan and get some minutes and come back and be an even better player. But for this season, if we loaned him out, I wouldn't be upset because he's a really good player. But is he going to have a spot at the club this season? Is he better than the likes of Bentancur, Bergwall, Gray, Fernandes, Tonali? I don't think he is. Gallagher. Gallagher is, he can do exactly what Sarr can do. But I think Gallagher will play in the 10 because I think Maddison's it is too early for him. I know he played today, but it is too early. Gallagher's played there a lot. I mean, he really likes Gallagher. And although he lacks creativity, his pressing is crucial to the way the team plays. And I do think we missed that today. But yeah, I don't think there's a spot for Sarr at the club this year. And I love Sarr. I really, really do. I'm looking at a picture right now of us lifting the Europa League trophy, and Sarr is right at the front next to Son. So I love Sarr, but I just don't know whether there's a spot for him this year.
Yeah,
Terry.
If I could just speak on Sarr and kind of the players as well, I think we all have a soft spot for him. It's just he's such a likable character. He runs for days and he's provided great moments for us. But I think we're at a point with the club, and this is all what we wanted, where we have to be ruthless, right? And it isn't personal. When you see the upgrade with Tonali and Fernandes, I mean, not just the two of them, but the skill that we've seen from the two of them, from Van Hecke, even from Senesi and Robertson, it's a noticeable level up from where we've been. And that's, we have to be, it may sound a little cold, but we have to be ruthless in doing that. It's Bentancur to me it's almost a little bit halfway through. You do see kind of the calm on the ball and he's not quite at that level, but we really need, at this point, we need, top 4, top 6 starting type midfielders. Fernandes and Tonali are absolutely that. The rest of our midfielders, even including Bergwall, probably aren't quite there yet. They could be in the future, but they aren't there yet.
Terry, that's exactly what I was going to mention about, how ruthless the Spurs and Roberto De Zerbi need to be during a major rebuild like this, because, how many times have we said on here, finishing 17th in the last 2 seasons, simply not good enough. It needs to be a much, much better season this year under De Zerbi. How sentimental do you get about players, and when was the last time you got really upset when a player left?
I think I'm too overly sentimental when it comes to players. I mean, I mentioned Vicario earlier. Looks like we have 3 really solid goalkeepers, and I'm still going to be sad for him leaving. I was sad about Spence leaving. I wouldn't say I was sad about Romero leaving, but he did provide good moments for us. So it's I think I'm a bit on the sappy side when it comes to players leaving, and I try to just think about us upgrading, which is what we've been doing right now. So it's I think I'm the wrong person to ask about that.
Well, I'll ask Richard, because I don't think Richard will.
You know what I'm going to say straight away.
Yeah, I know.
Go on.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah. No, I every time I came on the podcast, he'd played shit, absolute terrible, and I was like, absolute terrible. No. Honestly though, I'm not as sentimental as Terry, but when Sonny went, I was because he'd given so much, and then Kane, and then players like that, but not, if they've given, I don't know, a couple of years of service and then drifted off and then left, that's fine. But Sonny and Kane and people like that really kind of had that impact on the team and the squad. But Werner, I was his Uber driver. I was transporting him to the airport for free.
Rich, on a serious note, how ruthless does De Zerbi need to be? Because I think early on in the window, when all these players were coming in, everyone was very excited. And then, of course, this past week, I don't think many people are disappointed by Romero going, but a lot of people are disappointed by Jed Spence going. But I suppose you've got to trust the manager on this journey.
100%. And again, there was lots of people talking about his inconsistency, his attitude. His attitude at Forest wasn't great. I was one of the fans, obviously being from Nottingham, seeing how he played. Very excited when he came into the club, but he was in and out, wasn't he? Out on loan, not getting game time. Started on the right, then came on the left, went up for injuries. Blah blah blah. I think a bit of a smokescreen was obviously the World Cup, because basically Tuchel used him, and all he talked about is Spencer's the fastest player in the squad. That's all he said. Spencer's the fastest player in the squad. And yes, some of the recovery runs were phenomenal, but we've got Van der Ven for that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm not saying that Van der Ven is any quicker than Spence, but I am saying that he's quicker than Spence. And I think for what we're gonna get from those players moving on is rid of that negativity. And I kind of alluded to it probably about half an hour ago, that some of those players that have gone are part of the problem. Part of the problem of the reason why we're 17th. And yes, the managers and how the managers set up. But if you've got that negativity in the dressing room, it doesn't allude to the kind of progress that De Zerbi sees a team moving in. So I'm sure that players like Sarr will be moved on. I don't think they'll go for loans. He'll go for, because obviously you've got to put the money back in. If he's going to spend another 150, 200 million on players, then he's going to have to recoup some of that money somewhere. And Bergvall might be one that also goes, depending on what his attitude of if he's going to be a bit part player, if he's going to play 20 or 25 games a season instead of 40 plus, will he be happy with that? I'm not sure, but De Zerbi clearly will be part of the conversation with shipping players in and out.
Can I make one point on Spence real quick?
Yeah.
I don't think it actually was a question of his attitude. I think he's a perfect example of De Zerbi being ruthless, in that it was more of a lack of quality when it came to the end product there. I mean, we all know Spence's qualities. We've talked about his speed, his defending, even his ability to dribble the ball up. But how many times did we see him just get to the edge of the box, kind of stop and just be clueless on what to do? Didn't ping a cross in, really didn't have that final product. And that's such a difference between seeing him and what Robertson is doing on that left-hand side. I think he's a perfect example of that ruthless nature. He's a lot of good qualities, but isn't the complete player that De Zerbi is looking for.
I said this on. Yeah, sorry, Charlie. I'll come to you in a second. I said this on the podcast yesterday about Robertson. Very excited about Robertson because the amount of decent crosses that he has put into the box already in the very short time that we have seen him in a Spurs shirt. So yeah, I think we've bought a very experienced player there, someone who knows what he's doing. And again,
winning mentality.
Again, you need someone on the end of these crosses. So, Charlie, let's come to you on Lucas Bergvall very quickly. Keep or sell?
I'll keep. And you've asked me the perfect question here, Chris, because this keeps me straight on to Jed Spence. When I heard Spencer, here we go, to Inter Milan, I was a bit like, oh no. And then my dad said to me, Charlie, look at the positives. We both want Lucas Bergvall to stay at the club, right? And I went, yeah, of course I want Bergvall to stay at the club. I think he's a great player. And I was very upset when I heard that he wanted to leave. With Spence going, that would put Archie Gray as the reserve right back because, I'm Pedro Porro's the best right back in the world. We saw it at the World Cup. I don't think there's a debate there. I had a Chelsea fan tell me James was better than him the other day. I started laughing. But I want Bergvall to have a place in that squad. I don't want him to feel that he doesn't. I think that's why he wanted to go. It was like, I don't feel that I have a place. I don't feel that I'm going to play much. I should maybe move on. No, I want him to stay at the club. I think he's fantastic. And I think he'll be one of the best midfielders in the world one day. And I met an American person this week, and he's a big baseball fan. Terry, I know you're American, so you might be able to help me if I get any of this stuff wrong, if you like baseball. He said that in baseball, transfers work differently than they do in football. That it's not, you can't, for instance, give one club £100 million for a player, but rather you can trade players with them. The only way you can sign a player without trading is if they're a free agent. So if a player became a free agent, you'd give him a big contract, and all players they're not aiming to sign new contracts; they're aiming to become free agents. And it really made me think, we got to think about the player more, and it made me think about the Lucas Bergvall situation that we've got to treat the player well, and that just really hit me in how it works with baseball. And yeah. I just bring that up. But look, I really want Lucas Bergvall to say I think he's superb. I think he's superb. And I really hope he doesn't go. 100% keep. 100%. That's why I said earlier, I think it's time for Sarr to move on. Whether that's on loan or permanent, I don't know. I just want Bergvall to stay because I love Bergvall and I think he's so good.
Rich, let's come to you. Let's talk about the second half from today's game. James Maddison off at half-time. Elliot Paris came on, as Charlie mentioned earlier. It was a different Hoffenheim 11. They changed the complete team in the second half. They had a shot from 20 yards out on the 50th minute, comfortable save for Brandon Austin. And then they equalised, making it 2-2 in the 55th minute. A cross from the left-hand side, hit on the volley, a cross goal, a fantastic finish. But one thing I want to mention here, Rich, is the fact that Ben Davies and Roberto De Zerbi looked very, very unimpressed with Tottenham's defending.
Yeah, as you can see, the cross was not there was no press out to the ball for one, and you could kind of see that the defence was very passive. And I just think at that stage, you obviously just come back from the half time. You should have settled into the style of play. And I just think that everybody's like, if you even look at the defenders' like body shape, some people are facing up to the ball. Got a couple of defenders back to the ball there. I think, not very connected as a team. Obviously, clearly a great finish, but obviously the players got far too much time to make that finish. I think obviously what De Zerbi would be really disappointed with is obviously 6.5 games up to that point. We'd be very much about building those principles of defence, being very strong, very rigid with those lines, pushing up, giving no space at all to the attacking team. And then in that play, it looked very disjointed. It looked like there was no real communication across that back line. Hence the reason, one, the cross came in when the attacking player wanted to deliver it instead of rushing him. And then two, obviously the striker had far too much time to connect and put the ball where he wanted to.
Terry, do you want to add anything on Hoffenheim's equaliser?
I mean, you have to give them credit for for their play. It was a beautiful cross. Like Richard said, they had way too much time on the ball without closing in. That volley, that side-footed volley, it's nothing you can do about that. Just a high-quality play. Nothing that Austin could have done. I didn't. It's interesting what you said about Davis and De Zerbi. I didn't see their reaction. Were they vocal with their teammates? What were they doing?
Oh, their look said it all, Terry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't get to see that, but it's I like that they're holding their teammates to that and the team to that high standard.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what we want. High
Yep.
standards under Roberto De Zerbi. Charlie?
I just want to add that I thought it was really, really poor marking. That's what I noted down. I think Ben Davies giving dirty looks, that he could have been marking him. Also, I think Sousa's going to be a great player one day. And I know there was rumours we were going to sell him and just try and make a profit. I hope we keep him because, he was very highly rated in Brazil. And, I mean, look how many highly rated Brazilians that have come from Brazil. Neymar, fantastic players, Marcelo. I've named 2. I could name 1,000. But it was poor marking. It really, really was. But as Terry said, and I think that was a really good comment from you at the start, Terry, give credit, because when I saw it, I went, whoa, because it was a fantastic finish from the Hoffenheim player. So fair play. But I was a little bit annoyed at the marking, especially when I watched the replays. But look, it's been a very good pre-season, and it hasn't ruined my day. That's what I'll say. It hasn't ruined my day, but I did think it was poor marking, and I hope that we do not see that happen in the Prem. But that better be a one-time thing, a fluke, and that we don't mark that poorly again. Because I'll say it again, it was poor marking.
Charlie, let's stay with you. After 63 minutes, Kevin Danso header towards goal, saved by the goalkeeper. 3 minutes later, good work from Sarr, cut back, and then it was cleared. On 69 minutes, De Zerbi made a couple of subs, Ajayi and Sousa coming off, and Byrne and Adiwal coming on. And in 3 minutes from time, Tyrese Hall and Jamie Donnelly coming on, Williams, Barnett and Sarr going off. Charlie, who has impressed you in terms of the development side? And De Zerbi has given out a lot of minutes across the 7 pre-season friendlies. Which players have impressed you most? Who should stay? Should Williams, Barnett stay? Should they be looking for a loan for him? Mikey Moore, we mentioned him earlier. There are a lot of players over those 7 games that have been given a lot of minutes. What should happen with some of these players? Who should stay? Who should go out on loan?
I think this is a very, very difficult topic because I am a person who thinks loans can be great for lots of reasons, but they can also be terrible for many reasons. They can be great because the player can get more minutes, they can play at a higher level. They can also not be great because it gives the player, like I said about baseball, I think we should really be thinking about the players more. I don't think enough people think about the players enough. But it makes the player feel, keep going out on loan. Am I really wanted here? I want somewhere where I can be a part of a stable project, not jumping around everywhere. So I think there's that to say. So I think, I don't know, I think Barnett maybe another year in the Premier League 2. I'd like to see Jamie Donnelly go out on loan because I do think now he's more than good enough to play in Championship football. He was playing Championship football last season. I mean, look what happens when these players keep going out on loan. They get annoyed. Look at Lancashire. He wanted to go Middlesbrough when the opportunity came. Look how well he's done at Middlesbrough. In his first 2 games, he scored 3 goals. And I really hope there's a buyback option because I have no doubt he's the next, number 9 for England. Or there's that Villa player. He was good in the Super Cup, I thought. But Lancashire's great. And I think these players want to be part of a stable project. So I really don't know. I definitely wouldn't send Williams Barnett out on loan just yet. Maybe on a deadline day or something, but not yet because we really don't have any attackers, and he's probably one of our best attackers right now because we literally have no one except the 3 who played yesterday. I mean, Maddison was up front today because, well, I'm going to say it again, Solanke's injured again. Maddison was there, the false 9. But yeah, I loan probably the people pushing 19, 20, 21. If not, the Premier League 2 is still a very, very high level of football, I think. So certain players go, certain players don't. Donnelly, I think, loan out. Other than that, more 100% keep until we sign Savinha and possibly one more attacker because of the injuries. Maybe even loan him out in January because we've got so many attackers who are not going to fit until about January, Christmas time. And Williams Barnett, I think, maybe that alone could be a good option so we can really experience men's first team football. But the others like Byrne and Hardy, although I thought Hardy was really good against Chelsea, keep in Premier League 2. Let's try and win that Premier League 2 again because that was a great documentary when we won it. And I want to watch another one of those documentaries, but it's also high level. And I've got nothing against players playing in the Premier League 2. I think it's great. I think it's brilliant and a great idea by the Premier League. It shows just the ideas that people at the top of the Premier League come up with, that the Premier League are so far ahead of all the other leagues in world football.
Right, Rich, final question for you. And I'm going to give you all a final question, but they are going to be different. So, Rich, your one is, what would be a successful season for Tottenham? And also, this is a 2-part question for you. A successful season, and what would make the season a failure?
Successful season, what, now or at the end of the transfer window and we've signed 3 more players?
At the end of the 26-27 campaign, Rich.
I mean, my decision, because if we sign 3 fantastic players, that might change my perception of what. I think you look at the teams that potentially are going to be ahead of us. How many of those teams do you think still have some real challenges with recruitment, injuries? Obviously, lots of players coming back from the World Cup, so some of those integrations might be after maybe 4 or 5 games, so they might lose some of those first games because of lack of players. I would like, and somebody else asked me this a couple of days ago, and I was thinking that maybe 5th in the league was something that I was thinking, 5th in the league, and then the normal 4 teams above us. And I think we're going to have a strong season, but we need to have a little bit more recruitment. That number 9 position is a little bit of a problem for me, and it's not because of the 2 players that we've already spoke about. It's because of the injuries and inconsistency. And for me, I've always been very strong. You need to have somebody that is consistent that's in the team. You can't have 2 players like we've actually got, so we need to have recruitment in there. I think a bad season, so 5th would be my prediction for, and that even if we get a couple more signings, I think 5th is where we finish. A bad season would be, I think 8th and below. I think I'd really want to push. You look at some of the other teams. I think you're going to have some of the other teams that have got European action that didn't have European action last year that are going to not have strong seasons. I think maybe a team like Sunderland with all their players at the World Cup and European football won't have a strong season. I don't think Bournemouth will have a strong season. So those teams like that will, I think, automatically be below us. I think, like obviously in the chat, top 6 is obviously what people are talking about that. But I think obviously De Zerbi and the board are going to be a lot more ambitious than top 6. I think I've heard a top 10. I think top 10's no way good enough. With the investment, you're talking phenomenal amounts of investment, creating. We're transforming the team from going for bit part players to players that all the top 4 teams are after Tonali, Fernandez. They were after those players. So we've got them. We need to utilise those resources to finish strong. And all our focus will be clearly the league with one of the cups.
Can I just add on that? I think this squad have the capability to finish 4th. I've compared to the other squad. I have Premier League prediction on my channel. I think we have the capability to come 4th, and I believe we can come 4th. However, I don't think 4th should be the goal. I think that's too high to aim, considering we just came 17th 2 years in a row, by the way. I think Europe, we have to aim for Europe. Whether that's the Conference League, Europa League, or Champions League, I don't care what competition we're in. I want us to just play midweek games again. I'm glad this year we don't have midweek games. I think it will help us. But, 40 games a season isn't the nicest thing.
Isn't good enough.
So we can win it. We can win it. And that'll be nice. Another trophy. I love trophies. Look, another one to send to the Aston Villa van on Talk Sport. It's more than anything he's ever won. But yeah, for me, I would not sack Roberto De Zerbi unless we get relegated, because he's a legend already. I've got a picture of Ange up here because he's a legend because he won us a cup. But I would not sack De Zerbi unless we get relegated. There is no thought in my mind that we will get relegated. If we come 17th again, though, which I don't think we will, I want to stress, I do not think we're coming 17th again. I think we can 100% qualify for Europe. That should be the goal. Top 10, I know you said you won't be happy with that, Richard. I won't mind it because it's a major improvement on 17th. But unless we get relegated, I would not sack De Zerbi, because what he's done, he has saved this football club. He has come in and saved us. If we got relegated, it would have took us 10 years to get back in the position we have been in. Now, he saved us. So unless we get relegated, I would not fire him, because he's a hero, a legend, and he saved us. So, yeah.
Charlie, let me come back to you, because I think you've answered most of the question I wanted anyway. So I'll come back to you 1 second.
Sorry.
So, Rich, just to confirm, you think that anything below 8th in the Premier League table would be a failure?
Yeah, definitely. I think Conference League is not good enough. I think UEFA League spots again. I would say the club are going for Champions League football next season, and you look at the starting lineup for last season to the starting lineup this season. It is totally different, and I understand that has negatives around continuity of play, but I think the expectation is totally different. I think we'd have still been in a lot of trouble with Ange Postecoglou, but maybe not as much as we were last season. But I think this season the expectations are to get back into the Champions League for real. And yeah, any lower than 8th, I think it's and again, I think managers, it's going to take a bit of time. He's already had time with the players. He's already had time with the club. I think there's football, sport. There's parameters of success and failure, and they're very small. But with the investment, and he's been given a blank checkbook really for the players that he wanted. Some of them are out of reach, but most of them we've paid over the odds for. And if De Zerbi start the season, transfer deadline passes, and he goes, I'm happy with the squad. We should, as fans, we should be going 5th or higher.
Charlie, let me come back to you. Your question is, give me your boldest Spurs prediction for this upcoming season.
My boldest Spurs prediction. Oh, that's a very good question, Chris. I think we can win the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. I think, like I said, we've got the capability to beat a lot of teams. I do think we'll get 3 points this week against Brentford. I think we can do very, very well. My boldest prediction is that... I'll give my boldest prediction. I think Roberto De Zerbi, and this isn't just for next season, this is for a long period of time. I think Roberto De Zerbi will complete his entire contract of 5 years. And that is a very bold prediction, I think, because Tottenham are known for sacking managers. Frank said it when he came in. I've come here to get sacked. That's what they've done recently. And I tell you what, I wish he got sacked sooner, a lot sooner, because he set us up for that relegation battle. But De Zerbi came in and saved us. I think De Zerbi will last his whole contract. And De Zerbi, he doesn't really... He hasn't been in a job for a very long time at any club in his career. I think Tottenham is where he's going to be for a long time. I think he can complete 2 full contracts. That's my boldest one. I think he's going to last such a long time. And I love him. He will join Ange with a picture in my room very soon. Because I just love him. I think he's fantastic and a great coach. And I'm so happy we brought him in. I wasn't so sure at first. I came on your fan show, Chris, and I said, if we get Roberto De Zerbi, I will not be happy. And I saw someone comment, you'll be the first person to be celebrating when De Zerbi's appointed. And I wasn't celebrating when he got appointed. I was like, okay, if he can keep us up, then fair play to him. But right now, I'm not going to say anything. He kept us up. Now I'm celebrating him. That person who commented that, they were right. They were totally correct. I love the guy. I think he's brilliant. That's my boldest one. De Zerbi will swerve his contract. And I think we will win either the Carabao Cup or FA Cup. I'm not sure we'll win both because that is a very difficult challenge. I think we've got the capability to win both, but it's these one-off games, and I think we can have a one-off game where we will beat a great team like Manchester City, because I don't think Arsenal are a great team. I think they got lucky to win the league last year, and PSG showed them levels in that Champions League final. I was very scared in that game. I think my stress levels would have been out of the ceiling. But yeah, I think we. I've read that comment and it's taken me off track. I think we can also have one game where a team like Charlton, who are playing in the Carabao Cup, can beat us, but I don't think they will. I think we'll beat Charlton. But yeah, I think we can definitely win one of the competitions, and we have the capability to win both. And I think De Zerbi will survive his full contract. I better.
Right, final question for Terry. Terry, I'd like you to try and predict the starting 11 for the Brentford game in 6 days' time, our first game of the 26-27 campaign in the Premier League. Who do you think the starting 11 will be?
Before I do that, can I just address the last 2 questions just real quickly?
Go for it.
Richard, I agree with 99% of what you say. I do not think 8th would constitute a failure. I love your ambition and your demands of the team. We have to be realistic that we have finished 17th the past 2 seasons. And there are still so many unknowns in terms of when Kudus is going to come back, how effective he's going to be, when Kulusevski is going to come back, how effective he's going to be, when Xavi is going to come back. Like that can swing the pendulum quite far. So I think something like, as long as we finish, let's say about 12th or so, I don't think that would be a failure. It wouldn't be ideal by any means, but Chris asked about a failure. Like that's like relegation and something in the teens. That's a failure. In terms of ambition, I love that you guys are pushing for like the top 4, top 5. I think top 4 is a bit of a stretch. Again, there are a lot of unknowns. We do have the advantage of not having Europe this year, so we could make a push for that. I'd love to see us finish top 6 and make a run at the Europa League, the following year. That's a competition where we have a legitimate chance of getting another trophy. I would love to see that. In terms of kind of bold predictions, I just wanted to throw in for Charlie, I think Solanke's going to get 15 goals this year. So that's my bold prediction. It's all right. And Chris, in terms of starting 11 for next week, so let's go. It's Kinski. Looks like it's going to be Archie Gray at right back. Looks like probably definitely Van Hecke and either Van de Ven or Senesi. I am worried about Van de Ven that we haven't seen him yet. So looks like Robertson on the left-hand side. Midfield, absolutely Fernandez and Tonali. That third spot, I think I think Gallagher's the favorite for it right now. I think yesterday Bergvall made a case, so I think there's a slight chance that he could possibly sneak in there. And then that front 3, which I'm not excited about, but it looks like it's going to be Tell, Richarlison, Charlie's favorite, and Mikey Moore. So not in ideal starting 11 by any chance, by any means. I think it's going to be a tough game against Brentford, who didn't have a lot of World Cup players, who just beat Eintracht Frankfurt 7-0 in their friendly. So it looks like they're running well.
Charlie, Rich, do you want to add anything very quickly to that possible starting 11? Do you agree with that?
I think we're going to see something very similar to what we saw yesterday. I think Fernandez, he hasn't. I know he's played 3 games against MK, even a half. I don't know how much he played against Auckland because, like I said, my alarm didn't wake me up. I did set it though; it didn't wake me up though. I don't know how. I slept through an alarm. I don't know how I done that. But yeah, it's not this Tottenham. I think it's going to be the team we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I think.
Gallagher, he'll definitely play Gallagher. I think he loves Conor Gallagher. I think he loves Gallagher.
Yeah, I agree with Terry, and yeah, he'll play Gallagher because we're away from home, and it's and I think on the ball sometimes Bergwijn away from home does give the ball away in some of those dangerous positions. So I think he'll go for Gallagher.
I think also maybe if he gets signed by enough time, could Savinho start because he is a player who has had a full pre-season with Manchester City. So I don't know, maybe.
Do you want to give me some score predictions for the Brentford game, any of you?
No. Actually, sorry. It's just, I don't like score predictions because I don't want to jinx it and say we're going to win 5-0 and then we lose 5-0. I don't think we're going to win 5-0, by the way. I do not think that's going to happen. I think maybe 2-1 or 3-1. I can definitely see us maybe conceding because I do think Brentford have some very good attackers in Igor Thiago. You know, Brentford, thank you, Brentford. You saved us last season by beating West Ham 3-0. But I think we'll win. I think that's what I've got to say. I think we will win. That's my score prediction. Win for Spurs.
Terry, do you want to give us a score prediction?
I'll reluctantly say a draw. So either 1-1 or 2-2.
Rich?
No. Yeah, 2-1. Yeah, I'll go 2-1 the same.
Brilliant. Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining us today, talking about the Hoffenheim game, 2-2 draw. Of course, we're all looking forward to the brand new 26-27 Premier League campaign, and hopefully we will see you a number of times throughout the season. But thank you so much for your input today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Richard. It was great catching up with you. Charlie, it was great talking to you. You brought a wonderful energy to the podcast. It was great. So, thank you. Some interesting insights as well. So, thank you.
Solanke hater. I do like Solanke.
I always say, Charlie, I think you're like a mini Gary Maloney.
I like Gary. I remember he was on the one when Ange got sacked. I was fuming that night. I could not believe the guy is a legend, and we got rid of him. He's a great. Oh.
You need Gary and Ricky and Charlie on the same show.
Yeah.
Someone said Orchie in the comments. I saw it come up on the screen.
It might last a few hours, I'll tell you that. Yeah. You can host that one, Rich. Charlie, before we go, thanks so much for coming on as normal, and great to have you here. And tell everyone about your channel, what they can expect from you this season.
Chris, thank you so much for having me on the Spurs Chat Podcast. It's been an honour. It's been a pleasure. Terry and Richard, very nice speaking to you guys for the first time. It's been a really, really good podcast. And I hope to, if I come on a few more times this season, I had a bit of a disaster in the middle of it. My internet just went. I don't know what happened. I downloaded the StreamYard app, and that seems to be a lot better. Although my camera seems to be reversed, so I don't know there. But Charlie Talks Tottenham. Please go check out. Please subscribe. Last time I came on the fan show, I gained about 20 subscribers. That is fantastic, but there were about 300 people watching. So, we've got 20 out of 300 people. So if you're watching, please subscribe. Honestly, you don't know how much it means. 4 subscribers away from 400. That is, honestly, it'd be such a great achievement for me. So please go and subscribe. Chris, you're on over 200,000. 400 for me. I'll be over the moon. My dream one day is to get to 1,000. If that happens, I don't know. I'm going to be very, very happy. I might host a party. because it would be incredible for me to reach 1,000. But right now, hopefully 4 people watching, just subscribe. Everyone subscribe. Let's see, I don't know how many people are watching, I can't see, but I'm yappering again, I think if we got that podcast with me and Gary and Orchie, I think you'd have to name it the Yapper Podcast. Might last a few hours. I do like to yapper and waffle. That's what my granddad says to me. But thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to come on a few more times this season.
Well, it's been great listening to you yapping on, so thank you so much. And Richard, I can't ever keep up with what you're doing. What are you up to at the moment? Because you're here, there, everywhere, doing lots of different things. Tell us all about it.
Just training, mate. Yeah, just training for. So I am. I think in the next month I'm doing big half in London, half marathon, Great North Run, half marathon, obviously. Robin Hood half marathon, and then in training for Chicago in October. So if any of the fans are at any of those races, come and support. It's always a pleasure to see fellow Spurs fans. Yeah, and I'm trying to break my world record in Chicago of 2:40. So trying to do that on the 11th of October, and then doing loads of other things as well. But it's always a pleasure, Chris. And if anybody that isn't subscribed to either Charlie or Chris's channels, definitely do that, because I know it means a lot to you guys. So do that. And I know we're a big family as well, so let's support each other for sure. But no, thanks for being on as always, Chris. It's good to chat to yourself, Charlie, and Terry.
Hey, Richard, I'm in Chicago right now, so if I'm here in October, I may come out to cheer you on.
Do that, yeah. October the 11th.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we'll look forward to those pictures. Yeah, on the internet. So yeah, thank you, thanks, Rich, and best of luck with everything you do. Always such a great guy, and always such a great supporter of this channel. So thank you, Richard, Terry, Charlie. Thanks so much for your time. We're all looking forward to the brand new season. Look out for lots more content throughout the 26-27 campaign, and let's hope that it is a very successful one. And as Charlie says, wouldn't it be nice to win the FA Cup? The last time we won that was 1991. It's been far too long, but we're all feeling optimistic about the new season, and we have all got smiles on our faces. And let's hope that we can get more transfers done in the next couple of weeks to help Roberto De Zerbi on the way. He is building something special, and let's hope that he is going to be a successful future. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening, and until the next time, come on, you Spurs.
Up the Spurs.